Jinha stood in the center of the great hall. The room was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. Strange lights floated in the air above him. The walls were made of crystal that changed colors every few seconds. This was Nexus Prime, the most important place in the galaxy. Around him sat the rulers of hundreds of worlds. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some looked like giant insects with too many eyes. Others were made of living metal that sparkled in the light. A few were just clouds of gas trapped in glass boxes. They all had one thing in common, they thought. Humans were nothing. Jinha wore his best suit. It was black with a small Earth flag on his chest. He had practiced his speech for months. Today was the day Earth would finally join the galaxy as equals. Or so he hoped. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Jinha began. His voice echoed in the vast hall. I come before you as ambassador of Earth. My people have waited 50 years for this moment. A low buzz filled the room. The aliens were talking to each other in languages that sounded like static and whale songs. Jinha knew they were not saying nice things. Chancellor Vex stood up from his throne. He was the leader of the hegemony, the most powerful group in the galaxy. Vex looked like a praying mantis, but the size of a building. His forearms moved as he spoke. His voice was like nails on glass. Human, Vex said the word like it tasted bad. Your species has been watching us for decades. You send us your music, your art, your science. You beg for our attention like a child wanting candy. Jinha felt his heart beat faster. This was not how he wanted the meeting to start. But he had to stay calm. Earth was counting on him. We do not beg, Jinha said. We offer friendship. We offer our knowledge and our strength. Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We have traveled from a single world to dozens of colonies. We can help make the galaxy stronger. The aliens laughed. It was not a nice sound. Some made clicking noises. Others buzzed like angry bees. A few just flashed their lights in patterns that hurt to look at. Help us? Said Admiral Korth of the Viridian Empire. She was made of living crystal that cut the light into rainbow patterns. You barely learned to fly between stars. We have ruled space for millions of years. What could you possibly teach us? Jinha pulled out a small device. It projected images in the air above him. Pictures of Earth cities, its art, its people. Children playing in parks, doctors saving lives. Artists creating beauty from nothing. We offer hope, Jinha said. Your species have great technology. You can move planets and control stars, but when did you last create something new? When did you last grow as people? The room went quiet. Jinha could feel the anger building like a storm. We offer adaptation. He continued, humans change, we learn. We become stronger with each challenge. This is what we can share with you. Vex's forearms moved faster, his voice became sharper. You speak of growth, of change? We are perfect as we are, we do not need to change. We are the masters of this galaxy, Jinha took a deep breath. He had to tell them the truth, even if it made them angry. Then why are you afraid of us? He asked. The silence was complete. Even the floating lights seemed to dim. I have proof, Jinha said. He activated another part of his device. New images appeared, ships stealing from human colonies. Aliens taking humans for experiments. Trade routes blocked to hurt Earth's economy. For 20 years you have been trying to keep us weak, Jinha said. You steal our resources. You take our people, you block our trade. If we are so primitive, why do you work so hard to stop us? Vex's eyes glowed brighter. The other aliens began to make angry sounds. Some stood up from their seats, others moved closer to Jinha. You dare accuse us? Vex said. You dare question our actions? I dare speak the truth, Jinha replied. You fear us because you know we are different. You have stopped growing. You have stopped changing, but humans never stop. We always find a way. The Chancellor's voice became deadly quiet. You think you are special? You think you are chosen? You are nothing but animals from a death world. You will never be our equals. Jinha stood straighter. Then we will find another way. No, Vex said, you will not. The Chancellor pulled out a device that looked like a silver snake. It glowed with purple light. Jinha had never seen anything like it before. "This is a neural disruptor," Vex explained. "It tears apart the mind from the inside. Very painful. Very final. Consider it a gift from the Galactic Council." Jinha realized what was happening. They were going to kill him. Not just reject Earth's request, but murder their ambassador in cold blood. "You cannot do this," Jinha said. "I am protected by diplomatic law." "Whose law?" Vex laughed. "Your law? Human law means nothing here. You are not citizens of this galaxy. You are pests to be removed." Jinha felt fear, but also something else. Anger, pure, hot anger, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. "My people will know what you did," he said. "Let them know," Vex replied. "Let them know that this is what happens to those who challenge their betters." The device activated. Purple lightning shot out and hit Jinha in the chest. Pain exploded through his body. He fell to his knees. His mind felt like it was being torn apart, but even as he died, Jinha managed to activate one last function on his device, a recording. A message that would reach Earth in real time. "They will never accept us as equals," he whispered into the device. His voice was weak but clear. "Remember what we are." The purple lightning grew brighter. Jinha's body convulsed. His last thought was of Earth, of his wife, of the children who would never know the galaxy. Their parents had dreamed of joining Dot, then there was nothing. Vex turned off the device. Jinha's body lay still on the crystal floor. The Chancellor looked at the other council members. "Vote," he commanded Dot. The vote was quick, unanimous. Humanity was declared a developmental dead end. The galaxy would now take containment protocols. Against Earth. In simple words, they had just declared war on the human race, but as the aliens celebrated their decision, they made one crucial mistake. They forgot to turn off Jinha's recording device. Every word, every vote, every laugh was being sent back to Earth. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were truly capable of, when they stopped asking for permission and started taking what they deserved. The message from Jinha reached Earth in the middle of the night. The Global Defense Council building in Geneva was quiet. Most of the staff had gone home hours ago. Only the Night Watch remained, monitoring signals from across the galaxy. "Lieutenant." Torres was drinking his third cup of coffee when the emergency alert screamed through the building. Red lights flashed. Sirens wailed. His computer screen showed an incoming priority transmission from Nexus Prime. "Get me General Harin," Torres shouted into his radio. "Now!" Within minutes, people were running through the halls. The council chamber filled with Earth's most important leaders. They came in their pajamas, in workout clothes, in whatever they were wearing when the call came. General Harin arrived last. She was a small woman with gray hair and scars on her. Hands from the colony wars, her eyes were the color of steel. When she walked into a room, everyone else got quiet. "Show me," she said. The recording played on the main screen. They watched Jinha give his speech. They watched the aliens laugh at him. They watched him present evidence of their crimes. They watched him die. The room was silent when it ended. Some people were crying. Others looked sick. A few just stared at the screen in shock. Harin stood up slowly. Her voice was calm, but everyone could hear the anger underneath. "They murdered our ambassador," she said. "They voted to destroy our species. They think we are animals that need to be put down." She walked to the center of the room. Her boots clicked on the floor with each step. "For 50 years, we have tried to be nice. We sent gifts. We shared our culture. We begged them to accept us. And this is how they repay our kindness." Defense Minister Park raised his hand. "What do we do now?" "They have weapons that can destroy planets. They have millions of ships." "How do we fight the entire galaxy?" Harin smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We stop pretending to be something we are not," she said. "We stop acting like we want to be their friends. We remember what we really are." She pressed a button on the table. The screen changed to show Earth from space. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and beautiful. This is not just our home, Harin said. This is a death world. A planet that has tried to kill every living thing on it for billions of years. Ice ages, volcanoes, meteors, plagues, wars, and yet here we are. The screen showed pictures of human history. Cavemen fighting giant bears, soldiers in trenches, doctors fighting diseases, astronauts exploring space. Every other species in the galaxy evolved on safe worlds, Harin continued. Worlds with stable weather. Worlds where the biggest danger was finding enough food. They grew up soft and comfortable. She paused and looked around the room. We grew up on a world that hated us. We learned to fight for every breath. We learned to adapt or die. We learned to survive the impossible. Dr. Kwan stood up. He was a thin man with thick glasses. He had been Earth's best expert on alien biology for 20 years. General, I need to tell you something, he said. Something I have been studying in secret. Harin nodded for him to continue. I have been analyzing alien DNA samples for the past 5 years, Kwan said. Samples we got from crashed ships and diplomatic meetings. The results are ... interesting. He activated his own presentation. The screen showed complex genetic charts and alien body scans. Most galactic species reached their evolutionary peak millions of years ago, Kwan explained. They stopped changing, they stopped growing. They are perfect for their worlds, but they cannot adapt to new challenges. The charts showed alien genes that had not changed in thousands of generations. But humans, Kwan continued, we are still evolving. Our genes change with each generation. We adapt to new environments in just a few hundred years. We are the only species in the galaxy that is still growing. General Harin leaned forward. What does that mean for us? It means we are not just different, Kwan said. We are dangerous. To them, we represent chaos. We represent change. We represent everything they fear. They see us as primitives, Harin said, but our primitive nature is our strength. She walked back to the center of the room. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of 8 billion people. They want to see what humans are capable of when we stop being nice. Fine, let them see. She pressed another button. Emergency alerts began broadcasting across Earth. Every military base, every colony, every human settlement in space received the same message. This is General Harin of the Global Defense Council. As of this moment, Earth is under threat of extinction. The galaxy has declared war on humanity. We are activating Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was a plan that no one wanted to use. It turned every human into a soldier, every factory into a weapons plant, every ship into a warship. It was total war. But General, said Admiral Chun, we do not have enough weapons to fight them. Harin smiled again. We do not need their kind of weapons. We have something better. She showed them another screen. This one displayed human settlements across the galaxy, mining colonies on dead worlds, research stations in dangerous nebulae, trading posts in the middle of nowhere. Look at what we have done in just 50 years, Harin said. We have gone from one world to hundreds. We have built cities in places where no other species dared to go. We have adapted to environments that would kill most aliens in minutes. The screen showed humans working in extreme conditions. Miners in suits that let them work next to black holes. Farmers growing food on planets with no atmosphere. Scientists studying inside the cores of stars. We do not fight like them, Harin continued. We do not line up our ships and shoot at each other like gentlemen. We fight like humans. We adapt. We improvise. We find ways to win that they never saw coming. She looked around the room one more time. Jinha died trying to make peace, she said. His death will not be wasted. It will be the spark that lights a fire across the galaxy. They wanted to contain us? They just gave us a reason to break free. The room erupted in activity. Orders were given. Messages were sent. Ships were launched. In less than an hour, the machinery of human war was turning, but in the quiet moments between the chaos, Harin stood alone and whispered to herself. They killed our ambassador? Now they will learn what happens when you make humans angry. Across the galaxy, humanity was waking up, and they were not happy. Captain Quan stood on the bridge of the ship Retribution. He was Dr. Quan's younger brother, but where the doctor was thin and quiet, Captain Quan was built like a mountain. His hands were scarred from years of fighting in the outer colonies. His eyes were dark and angry. The Retribution looked like a normal diplomatic ship from the outside. Clean white hull, peaceful blue lights. The Earth flag painted on the side, but inside it was something else entirely. It was a weapon disguised as a dove. "Status report," Quan said to his crew. "We are approaching Korvax Prime," reported Lieutenant Haran, the general's niece. "The hegemony homeworld. Population 12 billion aliens. Weapons? All systems ready, sir. The virus is loaded and waiting." Quan nodded. His crew was small but perfect. 25 humans who had volunteered for a mission they might not survive. They all knew what they were doing. They all knew why. "Remember," Quan said, "we are not here to win. We are here to send a message." The ship's radio crackled. An alien voice spoke in broken English. "Human vessel, you are approaching restricted space? State your business." Quan picked up the microphone. When he spoke, his voice was calm and polite. "This is Captain Quan of the Earthship Retribution. We are carrying the body of Ambassador Jinha home for burial. We request safe passage." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice returned. "You will submit to escort. Do not deviate from the flight path." "Understood," Quan replied. He turned off the radio and smiled. Hook, line, and sinker. Within minutes, 12 hegemony warships surrounded the Retribution. Each one was 5 times bigger than the human ship. They bristled with weapons that could cut through planets. Their shields glowed with energy that could stop any normal attack. The alien ships formed a perfect formation around the Retribution. They moved in straight lines and gentle curves. Everything was organized and predictable. It was exactly what Quan had hoped for. "They fight like they live," he said to his crew. "By the book, following rules, doing what they have always done." He pressed a button on his chair. "All hands, this is the captain." Jinha came to them in peace. They murdered him. Now they escort. Just like we are criminals? Today, we show them what criminals actually look like. The alien fleet commander was Admiral Vex. He was a hegemony elite with 4 arms and compound eyes. He had fought in hundreds of battles and never lost a single one. To him, the human ship was just another annoyance to be dealt with. "Increase speed," Vex ordered. "I want these animals away from our world as quickly as possible." But as the fleet accelerated, something strange happened. The human ship began to behave oddly. Instead of flying straight, it started to wobble. Instead of maintaining formation, it began to drift. "Human vessel," Vex broadcast, "correct your course immediately." "Sorry," came Quan's voice over the radio. "We are having engine trouble, minor malfunction. We need to reduce speed." Vex's eyes narrowed. He had dealt with humans before. They were always having technical difficulties. Always making excuses. Always causing problems. "You have 5 minutes to fix your engines," Vex said. "Then we tow you out of our space." "Understood," Quan replied. But the Retribution continued to drift. It moved closer to the flagship. Closer to Admiral Vex. "Sir," reported one of Vex's officers, "the human ship is on a collision course. Move us away," Vex ordered. "Maintain formation." The fleet began to adjust. The ships moved in their practiced patterns. Everything was coordinated and smooth. It was exactly what Quan was counting on. "Now," he whispered. The Retribution exploded. But it did not explode like a normal ship. It exploded like a bomb specifically designed to destroy hegemony vessels. The blast tore through the flagship's shields like they were made of paper. Chunks of metal flew in all directions. Some pieces hit other ships in the fleet. Admiral Vex's last thought was confusion. How had the humans known exactly where to place their ship? How had they known the precise frequency to disrupt their shields? The answer was simple. Humans did not fight fair. But the explosion was just the beginning. As the retribution died, it released something else. A computer virus that Dr. Kwon had spent years perfecting. A virus designed to learn and adapt. The virus spread through the hegemony fleet like wildfire. It jumped from ship to ship through their communication systems. It infected their computers, their weapons, their life support. But this was not an ordinary virus. This was a human virus. It did not just attack randomly. It learned, it adapted. It became smarter with each system it infected. Within minutes, the virus had figured out how hegemony technology worked. It turned their own weapons against them. Ship cannons began firing at their own fleet. Defense. Systems shut down. Navigation computers sent ships crashing into each other. The remaining 11 ships of the escort fleet destroyed themselves in 15 minutes. The virus made them fight each other until nothing was left but floating wreckage. But the virus was not done. It had learned enough about hegemony systems to spread further. It jumped to the communication satellites around Korvax Prime. From there, it spread to the planet's defense network. On the surface of Korvax Prime, Chancellor Vex watched his orbital defenses turn against the planet. Weapons that were supposed to protect the hegemony capital began bombarding government buildings. Communication systems broadcast a single message. Over and over again, the message was simple. It was Jinha's last words, "Remember what we are." But the virus added something new. After Jinha's voice came another sound, human war songs. Ancient battle hymns from Earth, the sound of a species that had been fighting for survival since the beginning of time. Vex's forearms shook with rage. How had this happened? How had 12 primitive ships destroyed an entire fleet? How had a simple human virus outsmarted technology that had been perfected over millions of years? His science advisor, Dr. Renth, brought him the answer. The virus is not just a weapon, Renth explained. It is adaptive. It learns from everything it encounters. It becomes stronger with each system it infects. How is that possible? Vex demanded. Because it is not just a program, Renth replied. It is a reflection of its creators. It does what humans do. It adapts, it survives, it overcomes. As if to prove his point, the virus began a new attack. It took control of the planet's media systems. Every screen on Korvax Prime showed the same image, Jinha's face. His final words played again and again. Remember what we are. The message was clear. Humans were not the helpless animals the galaxy thought they were. They were predators, they were survivors. They were something new and dangerous, and they were just getting started. Across the galaxy, other species monitored the destruction. Of the hegemony fleet, they watched in horror as the most powerful military force in known space was destroyed by a single human ship. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson. When you kill a human ambassador, you do not just start a war. You wake up something that should have been left sleeping. Humanity was coming, and they were not coming in peace. The Great Armada was the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships from 17 different species flew together toward Earth. There were crystal vessels from the Viridian Empire that could cut through space itself, metal giants from the Keth Collective that could rebuild themselves after being destroyed, living ships from the Nethori that could heal any damage. Admiral Zenth commanded the fleet from his flagship. The Infinite Logic, he was half machine, half alien, all calculation. His metal brain could process millions of battle scenarios in seconds. To him, the human problem was just math that needed solving. Status report, Zenth said to his mixed crew of aliens and machines. Fleet strength, 50,000 ships, reported his tactical officer. Planet killer weapons, 200 reality warping devices, 50. Estimated time to Earth, 72 hours. Zenth nodded. The numbers were good, very good. Even if humans had more tricks like the virus, it would not matter. This fleet could destroy entire solar systems. Send a message to Earth, Zenth ordered. Offer them one chance to surrender. The message reached General Haran at Earth's command center. She read it while standing in front of a huge screen showing the approaching fleet. It was like watching a storm of metal and death coming toward her home. "They want us to surrender?" she told her staff. "They promise to make our deaths quick if we give up now." Defense Minister Park looked worried. "General, that fleet is massive. They have weapons we have never seen before. Maybe we should consider—" "No," Harin said firmly. "We do not surrender. We do not give up. We are human." She turned to face the room full of Earth's best military minds. "How long do we have?" 3 days, reported Admiral Chun. "Maybe less if they use their faster ships. Then we have 3 days to show them what humans can do when they are truly angry." Harin pressed a button. Alarms sounded across Earth. Every human settlement, from the biggest cities to the smallest mining stations, received the same message. "This is General Harin. The galaxy is coming to destroy us. They bring 50,000 ships. They think this will be easy." "They are wrong," she paused, looking at the camera with steel in her eyes. "For 3 days we prepare. For 3 days we become something new. Today we stop being the humans who asked for peace. Today we become the humans who take what we need." Something strange began happening across human space. People started changing. The stress of facing extinction triggered something deep in human DNA, something that had been sleeping for thousands of years. Dr. Kwan watched the changes from his laboratory. "It is incredible," he told his assistant. "The human body is adapting in real time. Reflexes are getting faster. Pattern recognition is improving. Brain activity is increasing." "How is that possible?" asked the assistant. "Survival pressure?" Kwan explained. "When humans face extinction, we do not just fight harder, we become better. Evolution and fast forward." The changes were not just physical. Humans began working together in ways they never had before. Without radio or computers, they seemed to know what others were thinking. Soldiers moved as one unit. Workers built with perfect coordination. It was like the entire species had become a single organism. On Mars, the mining colonies turned their equipment into weapons. Giant drilling machines became ship killers. Refinery furnaces became bomb factories. Children who had never seen war began building traps that could destroy battleships in the asteroid belt. Human workers used their mining skills to create the galaxy's deadliest obstacle course. They moved rocks into hidden positions. They planted explosives in ice chunks. They turned empty space into a maze of death, but the most important change was happening on Earth itself. The planet was becoming a fortress. Not just a military fortress, but something alive. Something that could think and fight back. When the Great Armada arrived at Earth's solar system, they found something impossible. The humans had transformed their territory into a weapon. Asteroids moved in unnatural patterns. Space debris formed walls and barriers. Hidden platforms appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "This is not normal," reported Admiral Zenth's science officer. "The humans have changed the physics of their solar system." "Impossible," Zenth replied. "They do not have that technology." But as the fleet advanced, stranger things happened. Ships that should have been safe suddenly found themselves under attack from all directions. Weapons that should have worked perfectly began malfunctioning. Navigation systems led ships into traps instead of toward targets. The first battle was a disaster for the Armada. Human ships appeared from nowhere, attacked with impossible tactics, and vanished before return fire could hit them. They did not fight like a military force, they fought like a pack of wolves. "They are using guerrilla warfare in space," Zenth realized. "They are making their own territory work against us." But the Admiral was confident. He had more ships than the humans could possibly destroy. He would win through simple mathematics. That was when the humans used their secret weapon. General Harin stood in the command center, her hand on a red button. Around her, every human on Earth was connected to the same network. 8 billion. Minds focused on one goal, survival. "Do it," she said. The button activated something that no species had ever attempted. It connected every human mind to the planet's defense systems. Not through technology, but through something deeper. Something that the galaxy had forgotten was possible. Admiral Zenth watched in horror. As his reality-warping weapon fired at Earth, the device was designed to unmake matter itself. It should have destroyed the planet instantly. Instead, it hit something that should not have existed. The combined imagination of 8 billion humans, all focused on protecting their home. The weapon's energy was absorbed, redirected, and sent. Back at the Armada, ships that had been built to survive anything began falling apart. Not from damage, but from something impossible. They were being unmade by pure human willpower. "Retreat," Zenth ordered. "All ships, retreat immediately." But it was too late. The humans had learned to fight with their minds as well as their weapons. They reached out across space and touched the alien fleet with something that no technology could stop. Fear. Pure, absolute human fear. The kind of fear that had kept humans alive on a death world for millions of years. The fear that made them fight harder when things seemed hopeless. The aliens felt it and panicked. Ships crashed into each other as crews lost control. Weapons fired at random. The perfect formation of the Great Armada became a chaotic mess of terror and confusion. Half the fleet was destroyed before it could escape. The other half ran back toward the galaxy, carrying a message that would change everything. Humans were not just dangerous, they were impossible. As the retreating ships fled, General Harin broadcast a message to the galaxy. Her voice was calm, but everyone could hear the promise of violence underneath. "You came to destroy us," she said. "You brought your best weapons, you brought your strongest ships. And we sent you running like scared children." She paused, letting the words sink in. "This was just the beginning. You killed our ambassador. You declared war on our species. Now you will learn what happens when you make humans truly angry." The message ended, but the meaning was clear. The galaxy had awakened something that should have been left sleeping. Something that did not just fight back, but fought forward. Humanity was coming. And they were bringing the storm with them. ***, 1 year had passed since Jinha's murder. The galaxy was no longer the same place. The old order was broken. The species that had ruled for millions of years now lived in fear of a single world on the edge of known space. General Harin stood in the same council chamber where Jinha had died. But now she was not asking for permission to speak. She was not begging for acceptance. She was giving orders. The chamber looked different too. Half the seats were empty. The species that had once sat there were gone. Some had been destroyed. Others had fled to the far edges of the galaxy. A few had simply surrendered and accepted human rule. The aliens who remained sat in terrified silence. They did not make jokes about humans anymore. They did not laugh or click or buzz with amusement. They barely dared to breathe. Harin wore the same black uniform she had worn for 30 years. But now it carried new decorations. Each medal represented a world that had fallen to human forces. Each ribbon showed a species that had learned to fear the name human. 1 year ago, Harin began, Ambassador Jinha stood in this very spot. He came here in peace. He offered friendship. He asked only for the chance to prove that humans could be valuable members of the galactic community. She walked slowly around the chamber. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. "You murdered him," she continued. "You laughed at his death. You voted to exterminate my species. You thought we were nothing but animals that needed to be put down." A few of the remaining aliens shifted nervously in their seats. None of them dared to look directly at her. "Today I stand in the same place, but I am not asking for anything. I am not begging for acceptance. I am here to tell you how things will be from now on." She stopped walking and faced the assembled aliens. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of 1,000 worlds. "The hegemony is gone." Chancellor Vex died screaming in his palace while human soldiers tore his empire apart. The Viridian Empire surrendered after we turned their crystal cities into dust. The Keth Collective begged for mercy after we showed them what real machines could do. She gestured to the empty seats around the chamber. 17 species joined the Great Armada that came to destroy Earth. 5 of them no longer exist. 7 have fled to the Outer Rim. The remaining 5 serve humans now. One of the surviving aliens, a small creature covered in blue fur, raised a trembling hand. General Harin, please. We understand now. We made a mistake. We are sorry. Can we not find peace? Harin looked at the creature with cold eyes. Peace? You want peace now? Where was this desire for peace when you were voting to exterminate my children? The alien cowered back into its seat. But you are right about one thing, Harin continued. There will be peace. Human peace. The kind of peace that comes when there is no one left to fight. She pressed a button on her wrist device. The chambers. Screens lit up with images from across the galaxy. They showed human ships patrolling alien worlds. Human colonies growing on planets that had been forbidden to other species. Human children playing in the ruins of ancient alien cities. This is what the galaxy looks like now, Harin explained. Every important world is under human control. Every trade route is monitored by human fleets. Every species that survived. Our expansion exists only because we allow it. The images changed to show something even more remarkable. They showed humans themselves. But these were not the same humans who had sent Jinha to ask for peace. These were something new. The humans. In the images moved with impossible grace. Their eyes glowed with inner light. They seemed to know things without being told. They worked together with perfect coordination. They had become something beyond what they once were. Do you see? Harin asked the trembling aliens. This is what you created when you killed our ambassador. You forced us to evolve. You made us become something greater than we were. Dr. Quan stepped forward from the human delegation. He was older now, his hair white from years of studying the changes in his species. But his eyes burned with the same intensity as his military colleagues. The war changed us, he explained to the aliens. The stress of survival triggered evolutionary changes that should have taken millions of years. We became faster, stronger, smarter. We developed abilities that border on the supernatural. He gestured to a young human woman standing nearby. She was one of the new generation, born during the war years. Without moving or speaking, she made a small metal object float in the air between her hands. The children born since the war began can manipulate matter with their minds, Quan continued. They can communicate without words. They can see patterns that older humans cannot. They are the future of our species. The floating object suddenly exploded into 1,000 pieces, then reformed perfectly in the girl's hand. She smiled at the terrified aliens. We call them the next step, Quan said. They are what humans become when we stop limiting ourselves. Harin walked to the center of the chamber, to the exact spot where Jinha had fallen. She knelt and placed her hand on the floor. Jinha died here asking for acceptance, she said. He wanted us to be part of your galaxy. He wanted us to learn from you. He wanted us to be friends. She stood up and looked around the chamber one more time. We learned. From you, we learned that friendship is for equals. We learned that peace is for those who are strong enough to enforce it. We learned that some species deserve to survive and others do not. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the air circulation system seemed to stop. The galaxy rejected us when we were weak, Harin continued. Now you have no choice but to accept us now that we are strong. This is human law. This is human justice. She turned to leave, then paused at the chamber doors. Jinha's last words were, "Remember what we are," she said without turning around. We remembered. We are not the species that begs for acceptance. We are the species that takes what we need. We are not the species that asks for peace. We are the species that creates peace through strength. She walked through the doors, followed by the human delegation. The surviving aliens sat in stunned silence, afraid to move or speak. Outside the chamber, human children played in the corridors that had once been forbidden to their species. They laughed and ran and explored with the fearless curiosity that had made humans great. They were the future. They were the proof that humanity had not just survived, but thrived. In the distance, human ships patrolled the space around Nexus Prime. They were sleek and beautiful and deadly. They carried crews that could think faster than computers and fight harder than machines. They were the guardians of the new order. The galaxy that had once dismissed humans as primitive animals now existed only by human permission. The species that had laughed at Jinha's death now whispered prayers that the humans would continue to find them useful. And somewhere in the growing human empire, children learned about Ambassador Jinha in their history lessons. They learned that he had died trying to make peace. They learned that his death had set their species free. They learned that sometimes the greatest gift you can give your people is showing them who their enemies really are. The galaxy had killed Earth's ambassador. Now it belonged to Earth's children. And the universe had never been more peaceful.